Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going over the 5 best mid laners in the late game. Not specifically the 5 best mid laners in general, otherwise I would simply put TA in every single spot, or techies like you guys decided to do in the carries list. I don't really understand that. The hero is not a carry, and it's not, well, actually techies is pretty good late game, so there's some legitimacy to that. But he kind of just makes the game go late. He's not necessarily... Okay, I don't really want to talk about techies. Let's get into the top 5 mid laners that scale well into the late game and absolutely dominate. But before we do, remember that we do actually run a website. Believe it or not, if you click the like button, you'll eventually get 50% off on the gameleap website. Not right now, but if you click the link down below, you can actually go check out the website. We post content there every single day that's going to help you get to the next level. Literally, I make videos on so many different topics. I just started making an invoker course, for instance. Before that, I did a support course. And you can check these videos out over on the gameleap website. You're going to watch them and you're going to be like, wow, Speed, I wish I knew from the beginning how great this service actually is. Nah, I'm just playing, but it actually is. So click the link down below, go give it a shot, and I'll see you guys there. Starting off at number 5, we have Dragonite. Now, Dragonite. Why do I think Dragonite is the 5th best mid laner when it comes to the late game? Largely, it comes down to his Aghanim Scepter and his talents. I genuinely believe that this hero has some of the best talents in the game and has one of the best ags in the game. I'm sure you guys have been all seeing the popular offlane DKs, mid DKs that are going Blink Dagger into BKB into ags. Sometimes if there's not enough magical damage or it's not enough stuns, they will go blink straight into ags. Not a huge fan of that, but yeah, that's the point. Now, let's quickly go over the ags and then the talents to really make sure we understand why this hero is so good in the late game. Number 1, the Elder Dragon form ags. It adds a 4th level to your ultimate, meaning when you pop your ultimate, you become a black dragon. The black dragon has bonus corrosive damage, right? So it does more tick damage, more splash damage, a higher slow amount, increased magic resist, and free pathing. So essentially, you just become like a 50% better version of yourself, and you can run over cliffs. Dragonite is already hard to kill. Imagine a hero that can stun you for like 4 seconds, he can black hole you on like a 9-second cooldown, and by the way, he can fly over the cliffs. So if you ever think you caught him, well, you have to make sure there isn't a cliff nearby, otherwise you completely lose the kill. Now, his axe alone isn't good enough to make himself a standalone late game beast, but there's a couple things I also want to talk about. Number 1, it's the fact that this hero is just a right clicker. There's not a huge amount of mids that are just like purely right click or like generally just build right click items. DK is, so he already kind of deserves a spot on the list, but his talents. At level 10, his level 10 talent is one of the best late game talents in the game. You heard me, right? It's level 10 talent. Fights go on sometimes for a long period of time in the late game. It kind of depends, right? Depends obviously based on the drafts. Does the enemy team have burst, sustain, whatever it is. His level 10 talent makes breathe fire damage reduction 30% more, which makes it go all the way up to 55%. Now you take a hero like Morphling that can have up to 300 to 350 base damage into later stages of the game, you reduce that by 55%. That is insane. And there's a lot of these edge heroes popular right now. Spectre, Terrorblade, Naga, Drow, TA to some extent, right? Morphling. All of these heroes get destroyed. Now, sure, it is purgeable, so I don't want to say like, oh, that's the reason, that's the sole reason, but let's keep going. At level 15, he has a 0.5 second extra Dragon Tail stun, right? Therefore, Dragon Tail becomes a 3.75 second stun on a 10-second cooldown. And it becomes AoE at level 25. AoE! You literally have Black Hole. If they group up, you have Black Hole without the damage. Well, actually some damage, 160 damage. You have Black Hole on a 10-second cooldown. It's a 10-second cooldown Black Hole. People don't even realize DK has this talent. 375 AoE Dragon Tail during Elder Dragon form. It's a Black Hole! And then I forgot to mention, oh, do you need a Siege hero? Well, at level 20, if you really need a Siege hero, you can take Elder Dragon form attack range. And assuming this is ultra late game, you're level 30, you get extra regen, armor, strength, 400 health, right? Your talents in and of themselves gives you 800 HP. That is nuts. And then just the God stun. So DK really is a menace in the late game. He kites heroes without BKB like no other, even with BKB. And by the way, if someone buys Lincolns to counter you in the mid game and you hit your level 25 talent, all of a sudden, if they're next to someone else, you can still stun them. All right, next up on the list, I know I talked about DK for a while, I'm just very passionate about it, but next up on the list is easily Invoker. Now, I know, if the Invoker player is good enough, you could argue that Invoker is maybe the best late game hero in the game, right? It has, what, 9 spells, but what makes him good in the late game? In my opinion, it's largely his Aghanim Scepter. Really, I think if you just, like, removed all of his spells and gave Invoker legit only Cataclysm in the late game with a Refresher, he still would be good. Like, he just still would be good. So this is why Cataclysm plus Refresher is so good. Number 1, it pierces spell immunity. Number 2, it's pure. Number 3, it does 537 damage, 0.5, at max with an axe. You multiply that by 4, you get like, what, 2,100 and something. And then it's also amped by whatever spell amp you have, so odds are it's even higher than that. Most heroes in the late game that aren't the tanky frontliner have 2,000 or around 2,000 HP. Most supports have less, so they just get one shot. They just get removed. You can't buy any resistance item. Yeah, you can buy Andisk. You know, that item's a little bit broken. But in general, you just can't counter it. Oh, Terrorblade has 60 armor? It doesn't matter. He's just insta-dead. And that by far is the biggest reason why this hero is nasty in the late game. If you ravage into a double Cataclysm, more often than not, the fight just ends. It just ends. Chrono into double Cataclysm. The fight is over. And by the way, did I forget to mention, you can Alacrity someone. If you have the talent, you give them 129 damage, which is 2 Sigurd Relics, more, and then 129 attack speed for 9 seconds. So all of a sudden your carry just becomes a god. And then you have Tornado, and EMP, and Meteor, and then you buy the Shard. By the way, Invoker has a great Shard. It makes you have this like triple Meteor, which is nasty in the late game. Radial Deafening Blast is like the best talent in the game. Not actually, but it is one of the best talents in the game. Invoker is a late game beast. Next up on the list is one that some of you guys might not actually think is true, but it's Puck. For any Puck player, you definitely know that this is true. While Puck is a very good early game hero and is known for his ability to just control the mid game cut waves and basically dominate early game fights with his 2 10-second cooldown nukes, well, about 10-second cooldown nukes, well, that's what he's known for. But Puck actually has one of the best late games in Dota. And the reason for this mainly comes down to 2 things, and you're gonna kind of notice a trend here. Good heroes, good late game heroes, very often have a good Aghanim Scepter that scales into the late game. Because once you've maxed out, you're guaranteed to have, right, an Aghanim's Blessing at some point, and when you can have that as well as 6 other items, if your Aghanim's is really good, you become unstoppable. And Puck easily has one of the best acts in the game. Dream Coil increases damage, but most importantly, Dream Coil goes through BKB. It's really that simple. Now, there is one other thing which we'll talk about, which is why I think this hero is insane in the late game. But really, this Dream Coil is nasty. Heroes rely on BKB to exist in the late game. Spells do way too much damage, people have way too many items to basically live without a BKB for most cores in the late game. If you pop your BKB and it gets wasted, you're basically guaranteed to die. And therefore, Puck just kites it out. And by the way, if you snap it and you have an Ags, you get stunned for 4 seconds. 4 seconds. And it does 600 damage. And by the way, if you don't snap it, it lasts for 8 seconds. So you just can't move for 8 seconds. But really the big thing here, the big thing, besides there is actually a meme build, maybe some of you guys expect me to say this, where you can go Arcane Blink, Shard, Waning Rift talents, right? Puck has a level 20 minus 6 second Waning Rift cooldown talent, level 25 250 Waning Rift AoE and range talent. Then you buy the Shard, you buy an Arcane Blink, you buy an Octarine, and you just have this like basically 0 second cooldown silence that pushes people around. It's pretty good. It is quite strong. However, I'm not that big of a fan of it for the late game compared to just Dream Coil Rapid Fire. Dream Coil Rapid Fire, if you have a Deso and a Daedalus, and sometimes even a Rapier, just kills everybody. And right, you combine it with the Ags, they either snap it, right, they have 2 options. They snap it and try to get away from Dream Coil Rapid Fire, which basically just, if you don't know what it does, it just sends out Puck's auto attacks constantly if someone's coiled, right? So if someone's coiled and Puck's in the area, auto attack, right? Just over and over and over again. And it works when you're phase shifted. So like they can't hit you when they're dying. And so they have 2 options. Stay in the coil and get destroyed by Dream Coil Rapid Fire, right, for 8 seconds, or snap the coil through BKB and get stunned for 4 seconds. Neither of which are very fun. Number 2 on the list, and I know this one, it's questionable, okay? It's questionable, especially compared to the prowess of Invoker, DK, and Puck. But we have Storm Spirit. And I would like to say, I do think if this hero is played properly in the late game, it's one of the most difficult heroes to play against, even though it can sort of lack some damage. The level 25 talent, Overload Attack Bounce, is insane. It is one of the best talents in the game. It really, really is. The fact that your Overload bounces twice means every single time you auto attack with Overload, which in the late game is like constantly, it's constant, especially if you have your shard, it's literally every auto attack should basically be an Overload, does 300 damage. It's basically like having Lena's Q Dragon Slave on like a 0.5 second cooldown. That's what it is, right? And it's AoE. I mean, so is Dragon Slave, but you get the point. It's AoE over and over and over again. On top of that, it slows attack speed by 80% and movement speed by 80%. So you're just getting slowed. You can't auto attack. You're just stuck. It is that good. If you haven't played Storm or ran it in the lobby, I recommend you do it now. It is so fun to hit this level 25 talent. And by the way, I mentioned the Ags. Storm's Ags, one of the best in the game. Your level 20 talent, 0.4 extra seconds on Electric Vortex. Then you get AoE Electric Vortex, and you pull people in for 3 seconds. Once again, it's like a pseudo black hole. Any sort of AoE stun in the late game that Linken's can't counter, even if Linken's can counter it, it just kind of doesn't matter, is insanely good, right? 16 second cooldown, 3 second AoE stun. That's really easy to initiate with, incredibly good. And last, but certainly not least, is a hero that definitely doesn't do the most damage in the late game. It does do a lot of damage in the late game, but really what sets it apart is its Ags. It's currently, I would argue, the best Ags in the game. It's definitely somewhat broken. It's actually probably definitely broken, and that's TA Ags. Now, this hero also has some of the best talents in the game. If you aren't familiar with TA's talents, well, you should be. And you might be saying, Speed, I know she has the level 10 Psyblade range. Okay, I get it, Speed. I understand with Dragonite she can hit from across the map, but it's not even that. It's her level 20 talent, which is Meld Dispels. It's one of the best talents in the game. If you get Dusted, dispel it. If you get Gale, dispel it. Shadow Strike, dispel it. Anything, you can just dispel it. There's so many things you can dispel that you need to as a right clicker like TA. Boom, it's gone on a 5 second cooldown. And most importantly, at level 25, you have 8 refraction instances. A lot of you might have expected me to say Meld Bash there, but honestly, I don't even think Meld Bash is good. I really don't think it's a good talent at all anymore. I think it used to be 2 seconds, now it's a 1 second meld hit bash. 8 refraction instances, especially in a game where the enemy team does not have good ways to pop refraction, which if you watch the OG Tundra game, you'll see examples of that. You cannot kill TA. And then, because she has 14 instances, that means refraction gives you a total of 1400 bonus damage. 1400 on a 17 second cooldown. Which, by the way, you should easily get 2 to 3 off in a fight. You can kind of see my point. You can't really die. You can Ags around the map, and let me get into that next. The biggest advantage to TA in the late game is traps and Ags and your shard. Having the ability to silence people globally for 3.5 seconds, as well as TP onto that silence, makes it virtually impossible to split push as most heroes. You think you're safe, you think you're a Winter Wyvern mid, flying around, all of a sudden, there's a TA on top of you, even though his team isn't even close, and you're dead, and he 2-shots you with his Nullifier, Daedalus, Blink BKB, Ags, Dragonlance type of build, and the game feels bad. All your waves are constantly being cut, you can't really kill her because she can dispel everything, has 14 instances of damage block, and that is why I think TA is probably the most busted hero in the game. Do I think this hero is better from the 0 to 30 minute mark? On average, yes. TA typically wants to get first and second Roche, and generally end the game around there. But the thing is, TA used to fall off brutally hard. Even if you don't think she's number 1 on this list, and I think there's good arguments against it, I would like to say this hero, in comparison to its old self for how good its early game is to allow it to get to a strong stage in the late game, is broken. TA has never been better in the late game. It's never been as obnoxious, and really the problem with TA is she would be stuck. She was slow. She couldn't move. That is not even close to the problem now. She's one of the fastest, if not like the most global hero in the game. Her teleport is a lower cooldown than Prophet's. And yes, you need traps and it's not actually wherever you want, and Prophet has a 0 second cooldown, I know, but you get the point. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy these videos. I really enjoy making them. They're a ton of fun. If you want me to do offlane or supports next, you gotta smash the like button, and you'll have to comment down below which role I should do next. 3, 4, or 5. Let me know. I'll see you guys there, and I'm out. Peace! And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!